Good morning. Thank you, Bethany. Good morning, Bergen KDV clients, family, friends, and guests. I'm very pleased today to get to introduce you guys to two vendors that Bergen KDV considers valuable partners. Bill and Divvy are vendors that we trust and encourage our accounting services clients to use. Why, do you ask? Well, I'll let both Mary and Damon explain that next. But I can tell you it's because of the benefits that each of these two software vendors brings to your everyday lives. These two softwares will make your life easier. And after all, doesn't everybody need a little easier in their life? Now I'm pleased to turn this presentation over to Mary, and I will catch you guys on the backside for questions. Thank you.
Hi, folks. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully, you all can see my screen. Everyone can see my screen okay?
Yep, you're good to go, Mary.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're here today to talk to you all about why Bergen KDV works with Bill and Divvy, a Bill company. Our mission here at Bill is to make it simple to connect and do business. So we're real excited to tell you a little bit more about ourselves and our partnership with Bergen KDV and what it is that we do together. So first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Catherine, who's wonderful. Catherine has so many letters after her name to get them all right. CPA, MBA, CSAS, CFRE, Director of Government and Nonprofit Consulting, a very smart, wonderful, high-energy consultant who's doing wonderful work for Bergen KDV. She's been a consultant for over 20 years, hard to tell by that wonderful, youthful, gorgeous picture. Meeting the needs of clients from startups to Fortune 100s. Oops, did I just make myself go away because I couldn't see my screen? Forgive me a second here. I'm making my screen smaller. There we go. To Fortune 500 companies. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
Oh, good. I'm specializing in the government and nonprofit channel and working to connect the dots across Bergen KDV and for all clients. So now I am the strategic account executive for Bergen KDV. I joined Bill.com a few years ago, and my role, I've been working with top 400 accounting firms and subsequently their clients. I've been in this area since 2005, committed to helping tax and accounting professionals and their clients utilize the best tools and technology available to automate the way they do business. That's how I came to be at Bill. So I worked with CCH, Bloomberg BNA, Intuit, so from QuickBooks to research software, everything that I've been doing has been about automation. So a lot of what I do working with Bergen KDV is helping them with their strategies to move clients to the cloud, increase their efficiency, grow their profitability. And those of you who know about Bergen KDV is their speed to doing everything better and faster. I'm also here today with my colleague. Bill acquired Divvy, our spend expense budget management solution last year, just a little over a year ago. And Damon and I have the pleasure of working together with Bergen. So Damon, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you, Mary. It's nice to be here today. Just a pleasure of mine to be able to introduce Divvy to a few of you. And like Mary said, Divvy was acquired by Bill about 15, 16 months ago, and I was actually hired on a Divvy a day before that acquisition was formalized. Very interesting. But I have a background in fintech software. I'm based out of Utah, they call it Silicon Slopes, and I have a passion for partnerships, win-win situations that really provide value back and forth between all organizations. And that's what I'm doing here with Divvy, leading up partnerships with accounting firms that want to provide value to their clients, and super passionate about Divvy because every day I get to present something that really is a game changer for people in their business lives, and ultimately that frees up their time to do more of what they love to do outside of work. So thank you, Mary. Excited to be here with everyone.
Thank you, Damon. So we're going to talk to you about the two things that Bill and Divvy do. So for Bill, we're all about managing clients' bill pay. So we're an intelligent business payment platform that manages the complexities of Bergen KDV's clients' bill payment needs quickly and efficiently with an audit trail and with integration into the accounting software. On the spend management, expense management side, we understand that the issues in front of clients today is that they need to know where their money is, where it's moving. Spend management is the ability to view, control, and manage cash flows, inflows, and outflows of business in real time in one centralized location. Bergen KDV uses Divvy by Bill to provide actual insights to key financial decision makers. So with the tech stack that Bergen KDV uses, they're really helping their clients understand where their money is, how it's moving securely, efficiently with an audit trail, and getting you to be more efficient and in more control of your expenses better than ever. So to tell you a little bit about Bill, we're a leading provider of cloud-based software. We've been in the market since 2006, I believe. We've got hundreds of thousands of small to mid-sized businesses, nonprofits, government entities worldwide using Bill solution to manage the end-to-end financial workflows, process payments, create connections to suppliers and clients, helping to manage the cash inflows and outflows. We partner with U.S. financial institutions, accounting firms like Bergen KDV, and accounting software providers. As a matter of fact, we have over 82% of the top 100 accounting firms using Bill, and we are finding that a number of them also use Bill to do their bill pay. Bergen KDV began their partnership with us before I started here, so it's been 6 years that we've been working together, and it's been a wonderful partnership. I hope you would agree, Catherine. Since then, we've been providing you a secure payment platform, now an expense spend management platform, and we also recently acquired another solution that's Invoice2Go. So that's a little bit of who we are and what we do, and I'm going to give you a brief overview of Bill, why Bergen KDV uses us, how it makes you more efficient, more secure, and the overview of the bill pay process. In a little bit of time after that, I'm going to have Damon go through Divvy, what it does, and how it can be a powerful tool for you as well. Now, this is probably maybe a little bit foreign to some of you seeing it, but these are actual mailboxes 7 blocks from my home in Park Ridge, Illinois, where I'm based. They were covered in tarps and plastic for, I want to say 8 months. They're not covered right now, but we'll expect that to happen again because checks are incredibly risky and easy to steal. I want to spend a couple minutes talking about this because I want all of you to understand that Bergen KDV chooses Bill.com because of its security. We never expose your check or your routing information. It's all done through Bill. It's all done where you're completely protected from your bank account information not being exposed. So checks are risky, they're easy to steal. There's a huge increase in check theft. For some reason, the United States Postal Service is not making this as known to everyone as they should. In my neighborhood, in my community, checks were being stolen out of the mailbox and somehow outside of the post office. My neighborhood, my community, thousands and thousands of dollars were stolen from small businesses, all kinds of articles about it, neighboring communities, affluent communities. An SMB in my area had a $14,000 check stolen and written for $214,000 out of Morton Grove, Illinois, and cashed. Bill.com protects you from security, protects you with security and positive pay. I want you to think about this. Times have changed. Every time you use a check, every time you write a check, you're putting your bank account and your routing number out there for anybody whose hands it passes to steal, to see, and if they wanted to, if they were a bad actor, to steal. We also now have a very large increase in people that are actually targeting postal workers for their master key to go to get the boxes, like hundreds of boxes in a zip code, to steal out the checks and to sell them on the black market. Tons of articles on this, tons of news stories. Look at check theft in your area and understand no one should be using checks to pay for anything anymore. You should be finding more secure methods. Bill is one, and it works very well for businesses, for nonprofits, and it will give you security, an audit trail, and protection. Thank you for indulging me while I talk about that. It's a personal mission for me, because when I hear about all the grandmas and aunties with Hallmark cards sending $25 to their nieces and their nephews and their grandkids getting hit up for $2,500, it kills me. Okay, so there's another cost to not using a solution like Bill.com, and that is how much it costs you to process an invoice. So if you're still writing checks and still doing it a manual way, you're not alone. 70% of businesses, nonprofits are still doing it that way. However, we had a wonderful Goldman Sachs research white paper that was done a few years back that really looked at just how expensive it is and how manual it is. The cost of writing checks to pay invoices is $22 to process an invoice in hard and soft costs. It's a huge opportunity to improve efficiency, cut your spend, and make, as Catherine said in the beginning, your life easier. Why wouldn't you want to do it? So 70% of businesses are doing it the other way, and they should stop. So as I said, Bill's a leader in financial process automation. We've got 85% now, I guess we're up to 85 of the top 100 firms using us. Leading financial institutions, we're processing 140 billion annually. Millions are getting paid. We've got integration with a number of the main accounting softwares out there, Intuit's QuickBooks, both desktop and online, Enterprise, Sage, Intacct, Xero, Oracle, NetSuite, Microsoft Dynamics, Business Central, and Great Plains. If you have an accounting software that isn't on this list, we also have import, export, and we're working on more integrations as we speak now. So definitely a good solution. About 25% of our Bill customer base is nonprofits. We solve a lot of problems for nonprofits that we're going to talk about, but one of the main reasons, in addition to the security and the audit trail, that nonprofits love us so much is that we help automate compliance. We make the workflow much easier for approvals, and the customers are organized for an audit at any time. So we have auditor-only, read-only access that makes it so that you can give an auditor read-only and not have to be chasing down information all the time. How does that sound? So this is a typical workflow for the manual paper bill process. So you've got this is basically the entire reason Bill.com exists. So you've got bills coming in, the paper piles up, bills come in a variety of different ways. There's a tedious data entry component. And then you've got the approval process for those of you on the call who are from the nonprofit sector. That could mean a lot of mess, multiple people, different roles, different states, sending a ton of time. It's a very delayed process when you're dealing with manual approval and paper. Some of you might be shipping or driving things over. It's pretty convoluted. Then you've got the pay process, right? And so paying bills can be a real problem. We saw with the onset of COVID, places closed, people not being able to get, where were the checks coming from, who was holding them, how were they hosted? And as we saw earlier on my earlier slide, checks are fraught with risk. You want to move away from checks. You want to not send checks out in your personal life anymore, in my opinion, either. And then you've got the whole reconciliation, right? So every business, every nonprofit is struggling with these kinds of financial workflows, and traditional payment processes are very paper intensive, time consuming, they're manual, they're fraught with risk. You don't have that audit trail, and you don't have the collaboration and the documentation that you would want. Systems don't match up. So this is the reason that Bill.com exists and why Bergen KDV chose to partner with us. We simplify client payments in 4 steps to collect, approve, pay, and reconcile. So we collect the invoice information in a variety of ways. Every client gets a designated email address that's pertinent to your business. You can upload the invoice or snap a picture using our mobile app. You can drag and drop it from your desktop. So we make the variety of ways to get the invoice into Bill Very simple, unlimited document storage. So you have all of the data you need in one place. The approval process, you can set up the approval process. It can be one approver or multiple approvers. You can set up different roles and duties and amounts. So there's a lot of capability you have over the approval process. And you can set up controls so that one approver or two approvers can make a decision. One approver can set it up, another one needs to approve. And again, the audit trail is always there. Every action, every activity has a timestamp and a signature of the person, of the person who is doing the work. This helps dramatically reduce fraud and adds a layer of security to the process that you need. Paying, you can pay with check, ACH, credit card. We even have something called Vendor Direct, all kinds of ways to pay faster. For those of you in the nonprofit sector or the government sector who are dealing with very large amounts, we even have a component and a feature that allows you to do that faster. We have a number of functions and features, even international, that Bill.com works with. Reconciliation, we integrate, as we saw in the earlier slide, with all the major accounting software. So information into the system in a fast and easy way, and a manual bill pay process that again is done in 4 easy steps. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what Bill.com is like. We've got an inbox. This is the inbox. This is where all the bills and the documents show up when they're emailed to Bill or they're dragged and dropped. So each client again has a unique email address. In this case, we've got Old Train Depot Restaurant at Bill is our email. You can provide the unique email address to all your vendors so they can email bills directly to your inbox. If you're still getting some in via paper, you can have someone scan them or email them in yourself and drag and drop. So pretty simple to get the paper into your system, or to make it electronic from the very beginning. Those firms and firms like Bergen KDV who train the vendors who work with their clients to use the inbox make it faster. They make it more efficient. We simplify the client payment process with proven statistics and data to 50 to 75%. Again, hearkening back to what Catherine said in the beginning, wouldn't you like 50 to 75% back in your time? So we keep all the invoices, contracts, spreadsheets, images, and document storage. It's unlimited. The information's always here when you need it. You can even see it through the mobile app. Once a bill is sent to Bill.com, then the system gets an alert. Review the bill, we set it up in accounting, determine how it will be paid, route it for approval, and we're seeing now bills that are inside of our inbox through the Old Train Depot Restaurant, and now we start to move through the bill management process. Aiva is our intelligent virtual assistant. We call it Aiva. It's basically artificial intelligence. It pulls the information from the bill into our system. So then you or the accountant on the Bergen KDV team then compares the information. They look at it. They make sure that everything is entered and complete. The invoice number, due date, amount due. They make sure that the process is correct. They can split it up against different accounts. They can allocate the expense to the proper account within the accounting software. They can even split the amount. They can manage approvers for the bill from here. You then can review bills too. Bill basically gives you the flexibility to set approval rules that work for you, that work for your team, and for your organization, that gives you control. So now that everything's captured, we need to pay the bill. So we save it and submit it for approval. As the approver will get notified via email or the mobile app to review and approve the bill. So they log in for approval. Again, you can do it from the mobile app. You'll see all the bills that require approval, all the information that's needed to approve. You'll see little commentary boxes next to it so you can go in and see comments. You can see the invoice number, the vendor, the due date, the invoice date, all the information that's critical to paying a bill. Once you select approve, your approval gets a timestamp. There's an audit trail and a virtual signature for every single approval. It can't be edited or deleted, creating a safe and secure bill pay workflow. So bill approvals and payments can be completed in the mobile app too. That's it, your job is done, and then we take it from here to do the paying. Now we schedule the payment. The business owner can be in charge of both the approving and paying bills, but in this case, our accountant is the designated payer in the process. So you have workflow checks and balances. In summary, you email us your bills, we manage the process, you approve them for payment, we do the work while you maintain control over the process. And that is Bill at a high overview, what we do, how we work. We give you the complete audit trail. So you'll always see who did what, where, when. We keep the documents, the coding, the timestamp, the approval, and we track the payment status along the way so that you and your vendors can stay informed. You can see the full details of bill in the process, and the vendor will receive confirmation that payment has been sent. We've got reporting capabilities, more information, and a wonderful development team that is doing excellent work on creating more efficiencies and more integration between our solutions and the accounting software solutions we work with. Just a screenshot of our app so you can see how that works too. We've got the whole technology of swiping left and rights for don't approve, I approve, adding commentary. All done with a secure socket layering. Any security that we've been put through, anything like that, because we work with banks and because we have partnerships with key financial institutions, we can pass any security test you put us through. So exciting. We're going to have some time for Q&A at the end here, so we'll make sure if you have any questions, we'll address them. But right now, I have the exciting opportunity to share my screen with Damon and to allow him to talk to you about Divvy.
Thank you, Mary. It sounds like everybody can hear me. I'm showing up as green, so that's good. But fantastic job, Mary. Thank you so much for the introduction. Like I mentioned before, my name's Damon. I'm kind of the counterpart over on the Divvy side, and excited to just share with you our solution to a decades-long problem for most businesses. You know, there are many different ways to look at a problem like expense management, and talking to many companies out there, there are, hey Mary, I'm not able to advance my slides.
Oh, okay, let me I'm muting myself.
Trying to advance the slide here.
Looks like you should have control now, Damon. Try again, maybe. Just to keep us moving here, Mary, would you mind just clicking through for him and Damon can just tell you when to go to the next slide?
Not a problem.
Yeah, go to the next slide, Mary. So okay. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm pushing my button and it's not working. So just to start off, just a quick story of how we got started. So Divvy got started about 5 years ago with about 6 employees. And our founder was a man named Blake Murray. He owned some businesses, just like you, a business owner, business operations, managing the stress of everyday life in a business. And he owned businesses where he had one corporate card, and he would take that corporate card to different locations and give it to employees to spend. It's a small business. And some of those employees were 16-year-olds, and he would pray that they wouldn't wreck his life, and pray that he would get a receipt back. And so he was always frustrated also with the bottleneck that occurred when reconciling, and the lack of visibility. One of the things that he realized as a business owner that he wanted more of was visibility into daily spend, especially on card transactions. Because normally, as a business owner or a director or a finance team, you're looking at data that is 30, 60 days old. So out of these different types of common company spends, card spend is typically one of the most painful. From expense reports to chasing down receipts to babysitting the entire process, and then delays that take place, closing the books, getting reports out, especially if you're working with, if you're a nonprofit organization, for good data and grant compliance, providing reports to boards and directors. So Mary, you can advance the slide. So typical financial stack, businesses, nonprofit organizations, churches, they'll manage this with a variety of softwares, right? And so the question is, how are you managing this? Use spreadsheets, use Google Docs, you have some sort of a way of capturing receipts, you're doing it by email, but there's anywhere from the ERP accounting system to corporate card, reporting integrations to expense reports. And so it's just these things pile up over the month, and there's a lot of different moving parts. So what Divi's trying to do, Mary, you can advance the slide, is we're trying to simplify this. And really, the cost to the organization is typically limited visibility, as I've spoken about, really very little control, right? When you give a corporate card to an individual, or they're spending on their personal card, there really is no real control. It's policies at the best, and then these solutions often cost money. Next slide, please. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is take this red line that gets, and this reimbursement window, and this 8 to 9 step process from spend all the way to employees being reimbursed, and really simplifying it, making that red line on this graph as short as possible. So we've had situations where we go from a company spending 20 hours a month to maybe 2 or 3. In fact, we just recently did a survey that said the average Divi user saves 12 hours a month, and the average Divi company saves over $10,605 per month by incorporating Divi and replacing Divi. Go ahead and or replacing their corporate cards with a Divi card. So the Divi way, how do we accomplish all of this? You can advance to the next slide. So we simplify and revolutionize your back office. The way we do this is we've become a card, a corporate card. So we're a bank issuing card, like a Visa card, and then we're also a software company. I'll show you my Divi card here. I got it here in my wallet. So Divi's a Visa business card, and it can be used everywhere. And then we combine this with expense management. We can also replace travel. Obviously, Bill is a bill pay solution that we work with. And then we enhance budgeting, right, by putting real controls in place. We can guarantee you're not going to go over budget. And then we improve the accounting processes, so reports get out sooner. There's a lot of time savings. Next slide, please.
Jordan, I'm just going to add to that, as a user of Divi newly in the last year, having been a field sales rep for 17 years, using every solution out there, as some of you I'm sure have experienced as well. I am so happy that my kids never have to see a sign on my office door saying, doing expense reports, leave mom alone. I don't do expense reports anymore. Divi has taken that away from me. I am doing all of my expense reporting basically with just a click of a button at the point of sale. Every time I'm making a transaction, I'm doing it right then and there. I don't have a wad of receipts. I'm not carrying paper around with me. I don't have to justify anything to my boss. I'm doing it all in real time, and it is so wonderful. From a field salesperson with receipts and travel, I can tell you my life is easier.
Thank you, Mary. Yeah, I can relate with that. I've been a field sales rep, traveled to a lot of conferences. I'll be gone for 4 or 5 days, put all the receipts in my wallet. In the previous job I had, I would take this wad of receipts back to the controller's desk. He had a manila folder right next to his desk, and I would throw 30 receipts in there, and there were already about 5 dozen receipts in there from other people. He would take those individually, match them to the bank statement, and then code them manually in QuickBooks. And it was a painstaking process that lasted weeks every single month. It was just a full-time job for him. And I don't know how he got anything else done, honestly, but invariably he would come a few weeks later after a trip of mine and say, hey, Damon, I'm missing a receipt for this, missing a receipt for this. And he was chasing him down, exasperated, because he had reports to get done. He had to close the books for the owners, but he was delayed because of this process, right? And there really wasn't any other solution that he knew of. So the benefits of Divvy are this visibility, being able to see spend in real time, right? All cards in one place, one dashboard. Also control over spending. So be able to empower and decentralize control by empowering organizations, the sales team, the marketing team with budgets to spend, but not being concerned about going over. And then Divvy's a free product. So there's literally no cost to sign up. There's no cost to sign up, no cost to use it. There's no long-term contracts. You basically decide how long you want to use us, and we try to wow you with features that you're going to love and stick around for a long time. So you may be wondering, what's the catch, right? Well, we make our money as a card. As a Visa card, we've expanded their Visa network. So Visa shares revenue with us from the interchange they receive from vendors paying them. So when my Divvy card gets swiped at In-N-Out Burger, which I go to often, In-N-Out Burger pays Divvy a little bit of money, so it's pretty nice. Next slide, please.
Wait, hold on. I'm picturing you getting 8 orders of In-N-Out burgers, because I'm going to share that Damon has 7 sons under the age of 15. 7 sons. So that's 8 orders of In-N-Out burgers, I'm guessing.
Yeah, funny story. One time we went there and we ordered 10 fries. So 8 burgers and 10 fries. Because one of my sons doesn't like burgers and he only eats fries. And the funny part is we overheard one of the employees saying, 10 fries? like it never happened before with one order. So I think we created our own bottleneck with our order In-N-Out Burger. We kind of broke their process. You can go to the next slide. So Divvy is a card. So we come in and actually replace Chase cards, Visa card, Capital One, American Express, because that's how our system operates and it's how we're able to do the things we're doing. So Divvy is more than just a card, though. We're a web application, a mobile application, as well as cards. Not only physical cards that can be issued to spenders and team members, but virtual cards for vendors. Really cool features there. Also, to employees that maybe lost a card and you need to spin up a card within a few minutes and so that they can keep spending on Google Pay or Apple Pay. So very nice there. Next slide, please. So our Divvy Smart Card really gives you the best of both worlds: speed, control, visibility. And I'll show you how we do this with our mobile app. You can advance to the next slide. So with our mobile app, the way things change for a spender is, imagine instead of just having a card, a spender also has a mobile app on, because everybody's got their mobile phone, right? And so what happens at point of sale is when the card is chipped or swiped or tapped, just like every other card, the only thing that changes is now the mobile phone will send an alert to them, right? So the mobile app will push an alert to the mobile phone. And you can go to the next slide, Mary. And within a few seconds of that transaction, the employee can categorize that expense. So as Mary mentioned, this is a breeze compared to expense reports, right? And so if you're a company that's still doing expense reports, paper processes, you can eliminate that process completely with Divvy, because the spender is just putting a few codes at point of sale. This can be customized by company. And so literally within 16 seconds, transactions are categorized and there's no chasing down. Receipts can be attached. You can go to the next slide, Mary. Receipts can be attached to those transactions as well. And so what's nice is we can truly provide a swipe to book solution by creating a proactive approach versus a reactive process. The analogy I like to use, and this will just be brief, but since Mary brought it up, I have a bunch of kids, and you can just imagine the dishes that we do every day, right? I have 7 boys, and trying to train them to rinse their dishes off is a nightmare, to say the least. So if I go a day without doing dishes, it's terrible. But ideally, everybody likes this process better, where they rinse the dishes and put them in the dishwasher. I think that's the ideal solution. And so similar to that in business would be coding at point of sale, not waiting, not procrastinating, not waiting till end of month, but everything's done every day. And that provides visibility to the organization, better data, and everything happens faster. There's no headaches and delays at the end of the month, or much fewer. So you can, and so what happens is once those, so the thing that changed for the accounting team is they're just reviewing transactions for accuracy and then syncing it with the accounting software. And we integrate with a bunch of them. You can advance to the next slide, Mary. And these virtual cards, as I mentioned, we can set up our approach for better security and fraud protection, and to give the company control back, is to have one card per vendor. Maybe you've had an experience where a card was compromised, there was fraud on a card, and that one card was associated with 5, 6, or 10 different vendors. Well, you can imagine if you've experienced that, the headache and the delays in business operations when you're going through changing that one card with all those vendors. Well, with Divvy, we recommend a one card to one vendor relationship. You can advance to the next slide, Mary. So as you can see here, we recommend that one card to one vendor, right? For control, convenience, and security. That we can also code each of those cards so that every transaction, if it's a software subscription that you're manually coding every month, we can automate that. So it's only coded once, and every time that's charged, it is all ready to go for your accounting software. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And so talking about some integrations, one of the big benefits of our approach is really streamlining the expense management process. How do you categorize efficiently? How do you get all the data onto a transaction that you need for taxes, for grant compliance, for whatever you need it for your reporting? Well, we integrate with, as you can see, these different solutions here, so that it makes it really easy. So what we're doing in Divvy is we're doing all the coding and pushing it over, and it's already done. So there's really nothing to do in QuickBooks, nothing to do in Sage Intacct or Oracle. The data is already there when it's integrated, making life much easier on the accounting side. Next slide. And I mentioned again, but I want to reiterate it, Divvy is completely free, no asterisks, seriously, no contract. It's pretty crazy. We could charge for it, but we want to grow our business. We want to make a huge impact in the market. Bill understood that. That's why they acquired Divvy. Very excited about the possibility of a one-stop shop that's coming soon, where Divvy and Bill will be able to be used in one platform, one login. Next slide, please. looks like that wraps up my presentation. Well, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it so much, you listening. And now we're going to open up some questions.
So we have a few questions here. If I can start off, and I'll read a few of them. Please remember, if you want to send us any questions, just put it in the chat. First question, I think it goes to you, Damon, about Divvy. How many nonprofit clients does Divvy currently have?
That's a great question. I'm not exactly sure. I took a bad sip of water. But I personally, in my experience, so I work with a portfolio of accounting firms. Accounting firm, like Bergen, work with a lot of nonprofits, and so probably close to 50%, personally, of my clients that I sign up is organizationally. I think it would be lower from probably around 20% overall.
Okay. The second one is for Divvy. How easy is it to customize the list of options for categories?
Yeah, so one of the really nice things about Divvy is it's super flexible. So we work with very small businesses, like one-stop shops, all the way up to businesses that are very, very large, like the Dallas Cowboys or the Utah Jazz, or we have very big companies that use Divvy as well. And so being able to customize the different features. One of the nice things is you can create teams of people, then assign fields that they get to select. So for example, the marketing team, they can select from these fields, or the traveling sales reps, they don't need to see all my codes, so they get confused. So we can simplify it so it's super easy to use, and they get trained up really fast.
I want to add one thing about with nonprofits, because I'm assuming we have a lot of nonprofits here, and knowing that a lot of the clients that I work with, the firms that I work with, and that have large nonprofit segments like Bergen KDV, when they have volunteers, when they have students, when they have interns, the ability to create a virtual card is a big deal. To be able to do it on the spot, on the fly, they've got someone going out the door, they've got someone to buy something, they've got students, there's so many different scenarios where I've seen the virtual card come into play as a lifesaver, right? And that same scenario that works with nonprofits is also working really well with one of my exciting firms working with a Divvy client that has Hollywood A-lister celebrities, because they travel internationally and they can't use their Amex, so they're using Divvy now. It's a great card. I'm using it all the time, and the flexibility. For those of you who manage budget for teams, right? When you've got a team out in the field and they need more money, you can have multiple managers that are reviewing requests for more money. So someone out there saying, I need another couple $100, I have to buy a printer, or something happened, we need more money for this event, literally can make a request from the mobile app, and the 6 people who are managers across your organization can say, oh yeah, done, money appears. It's so easy, it's so robust, there's so many different flexibilities and ways it can be used and utilized. There has not been a meeting that I've had in the last 15 months, or a situation or scenario we haven't been able to meet, from rewards to flexibility to like categorizations. It almost sounds too good to be true, and then you say it's free, and I go, what? Bergen KDV is a smart group, and the reason they chose the tech stack that they chose is for reasons like this.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Question for you now. Does Bill.com interface with NetSuite?
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And next question too is the bill pay information loaded into NetSuite?
You know what? That's a good question, and how the actual and how the function it works. And I actually have my phone a friend here, because I brought along Alan Tangney, who is our solutions engineer, who I thought I might get some complicated questions about how things work with accounting software. So Alan, phone a friend. Can you answer that question in better detail than I would?
Sure. Yeah. Hey, Mary. Hey, everyone on the line there. So yeah, we sync with NetSuite, and it would create the bill just like a user creates the bill directly in NetSuite. So it creates the AP transaction. Then when you pay the bill in Bill.com, the payment syncs over to NetSuite and applies to the bill, just like if you're creating a payment directly in NetSuite. So it essentially mimics what you do in NetSuite, but you're not needing to do it twice. You just take care of it in Bill.com, run the sync, and it all syncs over.
So then don't go away, because the next question is, where does the coding go? And how do you know what department it should come out of? So I'm assuming that the question is it in Bill.com? We have all the information, and is it my responsibility? So my department is my only information that I get. You know, see where I'm going. So how does the coding get there?
Yeah, so it's very so it syncs. So your same chart of accounts list, your departments list, your locations list, classes, all that's going to be in Bill.com because via the sync that we have. So that's the first thing that we do when you start using Bill.com is connect it to the accounting software, whether it's NetSuite or QuickBooks or Intacct or several others. And that's going to bring all the data that you have in the accounting software into Bill.com. So when you're creating bills in Bill.com, you're picking from the exact same list that you are already using in the accounting software.
So I'm assuming then responsibility levels. So if I can't see Department A, but I can see Department B, those would transfer over also into Bill.com.
Not entirely like that. I mean, you have separation of duties by users, but if you're a user that can code a bill, you're able to code from any of the available entries on the list, any value that exists on your chart of accounts list or departments list. Now, one workaround in that sense is if NetSuite or Intacct, they do, I believe, have that functionality where you can take a user and restrict them to only certain values off of one single list, like your chart of accounts or your departments. So you could always create your bills in the accounting software and then sync those bills into Bill.com for the approval and payment portion, because we can facilitate all the payments and then sync those payments back to the bills in the accounting software. So that's one way to kind of utilize functionality that might not exist in Bill.com, but still get some benefits out of it.
I
Okay,
should
thank you.
add here too with these great questions, because these are wonderful questions. Anybody that wants to have a demonstration and to see Bill.com and workflow in more detail, that specifically how it works for you, for your industry, for your accounting software, that is absolutely something we can coordinate with the Bergen KDV team and or with someone on our direct side if you're not working with the CAS group at Bergen KDV. So that's something we'll be happy to help you do.
Thanks, Mary. Next question says, we are a school and each teacher has a budget. Would they each get their own card is the question. So I think that's a Divvy question.
Mm-hmm.
Could you reiterate the question again, Catherine?
Sure. We are a school and each teacher has their own budget. So then would each teacher have their own card?
Yes. So we can allocate funds per card, per spender, and so it's very simple. One teacher could have $100, one teacher could have $5,000. The school could have a line of credit or a credit limit of 25, 30,000, but they're only giving access on that card to a small portion of that line, which is really nice. You can even have a card issued without any money on it, and then ask, for example, if it's an assistant to a teacher and they don't spend very often, you could actually fund that card the day they need to use it or minutes before they use it, and then they can spend it, and then the card goes back to zero. So it's very, very flexible that way.
Cool. Do the different cards have different account numbers is what I'm assuming?
Yes. So each card has a separate card number. So it could be tracked separately by individual user. Yes, that's true. But the account, the Divvy account is one account number, so associated with the bank that Divvy is.
So in Bill.com, here's a question: are we able to attach a copy of the invoices to QuickBooks from Bill.com, or does the invoices stay in Bill.com? And so QuickBooks doesn't have the copy of it. Is that an Alan question?
Yeah, so the documents remain in Bill.com. What would sync into QuickBooks would be just the bill record itself with all the coding and everything else on it, but your PDFs, your documents, they remain in Bill.com. But one thing we do is we don't, we provide unlimited document storage within Bill.com. So we chose not to sync them into QuickBooks because it would put a lot of bandwidth on the sync, a lot of stress on the sync, so that instead of the syncs taking seconds like they do today, it would be much longer, like up to hours and stuff. So yeah, documents remain in Bill.com.
And you still have incredible ease to see the documents. So it was a very conscious decision. I get asked that a lot. And thank you for explaining it in detail, Ellen. It's a conscious decision and understanding what it could do to the system. It's the right decision. And it's so easy to get to where you need to be with the integration that it's kind of a moot point.
And to parlay off that, can I say, Divvy does send receipts over. So when a receipt is captured on a transaction on the mobile application, we send those over with our integration.
So I have a Divvy question here, and it says, how do you get copies of receipts from Divvy if needed to show on a billing to a customer?
So a copy of receipt is attached to every transaction. So the individual transaction can be searched for and then downloaded, or you can actually download them all. There's an export where you can download all receipts into a file.
Okay, perfect. I've got one here that says, can you guys provide some examples, plans, advantages of the Divvy and Bill.com synergies that you guys are planning?
Ooh.
Or is it not public information yet?
So Bergen KDV, I will be happy to share, and Chris, the Gallo, master of the helm, there is on our advisory council. So he is privy to information that we might not be able to share that he can share because we've got all these different things that we're restricted to. But having just been to our advisory council meeting in July, I can tell you that there were cheers, there was applause, there was stomping from the people that were there seeing the roadmap and where we're heading. So Renee Lacerte, our CAO, our founder on the Bill side, has a real honest pathway for us to make it simple to connect and do business. So with the acquisition of Divvy, it is all our roadmap. There's a ton of stuff happening on roadmap, and there's a ton of stuff happening specific to dashboard. So without being able to go into too much detail, the integration, the dashboard, the reporting, the synchronicity, a lot of cheering, I will say, around 1099s for those who that is important to. We've been getting feedback from power users like the team at Bergen KDV now for 6 years, right? 2016, almost 7 years, and taking that information to heart. For those of you on the call that asked the questions about schools, the school division that works with us on both Divvy and Bill are big adopters. As a matter of fact, you guys might be one of the largest adopters of nonprofit for both Bill.com and Divvy combined. So you're the experts. So when you're looking for specific questions onto why these two combine, the synergies and how it works, I would say reach out to Catherine, reach out to the teams there, Nick, on your team as well for the answers. But what I got from us being out there in over the summer when we were at your internal meeting is just how much faster you're doing everything than everybody else. You're getting information, you're getting reporting, you're getting data, you're getting the important tools that people need to make decisions over their business to make it better, faster. Because speed is critical. It's critical to decisions, it's critical to information, it's critical to profitability. But more and beyond that, something else I learned from watching the way Bergen KDV works and the way you work for your staff and your community is you guys like to have fun. So the balance is you get to have more time back doing the things you love. When you launch the efficiencies of synergies like Bill.com, Divvy, and the other tech stack tools you're working, you're giving people back critical time to do things that they love regarding their business, regarding their charities, regarding their nonprofits, and most importantly, regarding their families, the people they love, their friends, their time.
Thanks, Mary. I have another question. Does the card link directly to the bank? And if so, then is the balance paid monthly? I think somebody's looking at how is the credit card, there's Divvy cards getting paid. What is is it a monthly? Is it daily? Is it, do you have control on that?
So Divvy underwrites, there's two actual options. The first one is a line of, it's actually a credit limit. So we work like AMX. We don't have interest rates. We don't have, we're not underwriting for like APRs or things like that. So, but we issue a limit and that limit can be set by the company, either on a weekly payment cycle, a semi-monthly, or a monthly payment cycle. So, for example, if you're a nonprofit, typical credit line for a school, for instance, that I've worked with is around $20,000, $25,000 a month, and they generally like to pay that monthly. So, but I've had situations up to 50, 80,000. Just as a side note, Divvy can underwrite up to $11 million. So we're talking large lines and credit limits that could be spent weekly, semi-monthly, or monthly with proper financials. So some other of our competitors out there will actually require like a bank connection, and then they look at daily balances and you have to pay the balance off every day. Divvy's an actual credit line that we're issuing, and we report to the credit bureaus. So this actually also helps build credit. The other option though is if you don't want a line of credit or you can't qualify for one, if you're a new business, we can actually get you started with a prepaid account. So this works like a bank account where instead you transfer funds from your checking account into the Divvy account and then spend out of that. Instead of making a payment, you're pre-funding. So there's a little more planning that goes involved and understanding cash flow and things like that. But the nice thing is we actually still report to the credit bureaus all the spend that takes place on those accounts as well. So pretty exciting things there.
Yeah, I've got a lot of firms that are working with team members that have credit building needs, or client members, I should say, that have credit building needs. And it's good. It works well for your smaller business client that needs help.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. And so in essence of time here, I just have one last question, and then we'll wrap up. But does Divvy offer rewards?
Yes. So even though we're free, we do offer rewards that are competitive. We can match or beat your existing rewards in most cases. We do offer rewards, and they're pretty nice depending on how you pay. If you pay monthly, semi-monthly, or weekly, there's different types of rewards based on the economics of us lending out that money and things like that. But we'd love to speak to anyone that wants to dive into that further.
Thank you. So thank you, Damon. Thank you, Mary. I'll turn this back over to our moderator in just a second, but I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Our email addresses are on the slide that you're looking at. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to either myself or your Bergen KDV contact that you work with directly. We are all in the Bergen KDV family happy to introduce everybody to these two wonderful vendors, and we are so pleased that they were with us today. And I'm going to turn this back over to our moderator, who's going to give you the housekeeping closing remarks. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. And thanks again for joining us today. Just one closing reminder here, we will be sending out a short survey following the webinar. If you have any additional thoughts or questions, or like they mentioned, if a demo is something that you'd love, feel free to put that in the survey and we'll make sure that gets over to the team there. We will also be sending out the recording as well as the presentation. And I think that's all we've got today. Thanks so much for attending, everyone.
Thank you.